Hey everybody, it's Gira and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up for you guys. So I had a decent reading month last month, and a lot of that was to do with the fact that it was the end of the semester. So there was like a week or two in there where I didn't really read because I was working on all my papers for my finals, but I still managed to read quite a few books, so I will go through them now. So I started off the month with Life as It Happens, which is a book of Nerdfighteria poetry. So basically just a bunch of nerdfighters sent in a bunch of different poems, and it got compiled into this little book. The subjects range from literally anything to anything, and it was really cool then to see that there was such a range, like so there was such a variety of topics and of styles. There's a couple that were like super good that I really liked, but otherwise I just enjoyed my time. I don't love poetry all the time, but every once in a while I'm finding that I can enjoy even like little bits of it, so this was just very nice to be able to read, and like I got through it really fast because it's pretty short and it's just poetry, so yeah, it was good. And then I read the whole thing of the Valiant trilogy. So that includes the Valiant, the Defiant, and the Triumphant. So I'm just going to hold up the first book here. But this is about a group of girl gladiators. So I think when I hauled this, I said that the series possibly had fantasy elements. It doesn't. It's more like the religious aspect of the main character, Fallon, and her war goddess from the tribe that she comes from in England. So, but that's like the only like fantasy aspect. Otherwise, it's just historical fiction. So, it takes place during the Roman Empire, and this girl Fallon, at least in the first book, this girl Fallon, our main character, she's the daughter of the like king of this tribe, but she ends up getting captured and sent to Rome to train to be a gladiator. There's so much that happens in the first 50 pages of this book. It's crazy. But all three of these books have like non-stop action. There's a lot of character building as well, which is really fun. They weren't my favorite ever, but like they were very enjoyable to read, and they'd been on my list for forever. Pretty much since this book came out, I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting, but then I never sat down and read it. So I'm really glad that I have these books, and yeah, just really enjoyed my time with them. Next up is the only book that I got in the last month, so I don't have anything else to haul, but that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Oh, I forgot to say, these are by Leslie Livingston. This is by Suzanne Collins, as you guys all are definitely aware of. So I have a hard time describing my feelings with this book because on the one hand, it's not an enjoyable read because you're in Snow's mind the entire time. So you are aware the entire time that Snow is not a good person. But I think it was interesting in the fact of like giving me more ideas on who Snow is as a person. And so I don't think that this book like apologized for any of the actions that he took in the actual trilogy, but I think after reading this I can see why he took those actions, just because it's within his character. Like, he is just somebody who is always looking out for himself and always looking at his public image and like how he can use the power that he has against other people. And there's constantly this thing about how the people from the districts are like different than the people in the capital. And so you see like where his hatred of the districts comes from. Even at an early age, he's kind of just like taught that, but then through this experience with Lucy Gray and being a mentor in the Hunger Games, like, and then what happens after it too, you've got this like new understanding of like how he can hate the districts so much. I liked Lucy Gray as a character, and I would actually be interested in hearing more from her point of view. I think that would be very interesting. Not that I necessarily want another prequel book, but she's a very interesting character, and so I'm glad that we got to see her in this book. There's a lot to do with songs, which, because it's called Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, you would think I would have realized that, but it was really interesting, like, seeing there's some backstory on some songs, and just like Lucy Gray comes up with a lot of songs, so that was really cool and different, I feel like. But yeah, there was a lot to do with like power and how you can manipulate the people around you, but also like who has power over you, and I don't know. It was interesting. Like I said, it was hard to read at some points just because you're in Snow's head and it's not a great place to be, but I think it had some really good commentary on just humanity and how we connect with people. And so it was enjoyable in that sense, and it was interesting to see a lot more of the history of the Hunger Games, because we don't get a lot of actual history in the trilogy, so it was interesting to be like, okay, so they're here, and then we know where they're gonna end up here, so like, I don't know, it was really interesting. But yeah, I'm not sure that I will ever reread this. If I do, it's literally the only reason I will reread it is going to be to like annotate it and take notes so I can like talk about it in like a more philosophical way and like review it that way. But it was interesting, and I am glad that I read it. And then I finished off my month with some good rereads. So I reread The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, and Titan's Curse, which my sister has right now. So the last month, the news got announced that Percy Jackson is getting turned into a TV show on Disney Plus, which, like, hallelujah, thank goodness. We deserve a good adaptation of Percy Jackson, and I'm very, very excited about it. Rick Riordan and his wife are going to be very involved in it, so I have a lot of hope for it. So some girls that I follow on YouTube decided to do a reread. They're not part of BookTube exactly. They do reaction videos actually, but they decided they were going to form a little book club and do a reread of Percy Jackson right after the news came out. So, which is funny because I just reread these books at the very beginning of this year, so that's been kind of fun. But now I'm reading them and like picturing certain scenes as they could be in a TV show, and like thinking about how this would work. Like, okay, so there was one scene, the siren scene from Sea of Monsters. This scene, a lot of times you can't translate stuff directly from book to screen. Like, it just doesn't work because of how things are written. The siren scene in this book was literally perfect. I could see it so clearly, and so I really, really hope, if we get, we don't actually know for sure how much we're getting. We're getting Lightning Thief for sure, but like, the hope is we get 5 seasons for 5 books. I hope that they do that scene justice, because like, I don't know, I could just picture it so well when I was rereading it. So yeah, I had so much fun rereading this. And I think Titan's Curse too is interesting because I really noticed like the shift in it this time. Like, it is the middle book, but also like, I don't know, at the end, like, yeah, I don't want to say anything about spoiling things, but you see Percy start to actually like really grow up in this book, and Titan's Curse really shows like the change from like these still scary but more lighthearted things to like 3, 4, and 5 are a little bit darker in tone, just a little bit, not a ton, but you can definitely sense that shift happening within the 3rd book, so that was really cool too. So yeah, it's always fun rereading Percy Jackson because I just love them so much. So yeah, that's it. Those are all the books that I read in the month of May. Comment down below, let me know if you've read any of these books or what you guys read last month. I'd love to chat with you in the comments below. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on social media, all my links will be in the description as always. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!